Hi, everybody. Brad Murray here with Action Coach here in Las Vegas, meeting with Sophia Stewart today, the creator of the Matrix and Terminator, Matrix and Terminator film series, long-standing writer and author as well. Welcome, Sophia.
Yeah, hi. You forgot the owner. I'm the owner of it also. But
My apologies. My apologies. Not only the creator, she is the owner of the Matrix and Terminator film series. So thank you so much for the correction. Just a little bit about your background, what you were into and how you got into doing films.
Oh, well, I got a degree in journalism, a double major in law and psychology. I studied to be a lawyer and a doctor. My schools are USC, University of Southern California, the Trojans. I went to school with Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott, those former pro football players, James Sinclair, August Gurley, Dennis Johnson, and the Moore brothers. That's just to name a few.
Nice.
And I'm author of several books pertaining to the Matrix and the Terminator. So the trilogies of the Matrix and the series of the Terminator was adapted from my copyrighted script and copyrighted book that spans the copyrights of 1981, 83, and 84.
Did you have a passion for writing? Is that what led you to kind of create those screenplays or whatnot?
Well, I'm a prodigy. Now that's totally different from a genius. A prodigy, if you know certain famous prodigies such as Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, these are people who are well versed in mathematics. We're well versed in math, and that is where we get our gifts, because the universal language is mathematics, not the words or spells or spelling or curses or cursive. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
But math is what create everything here. The engineer creates by math. That's what Tesla was doing. The architect, math. The bridges, the houses, the cars, the chairs, everything you name, including the gun, was created by math.
For sure. So what is your primary business today, like as we speak? Like what do you do?
I own a corporation, and of course the Matrix and Terminator. I do Matrix and Terminator licensing deals. I'm getting ready to drop some real Matrix images and not any so-called avatar. Avatar is just James Cameron creating witchcraft, because you can't possess a body and go use that body to do harm to others, and use that body to I don't know. That is just the most craziest thing I've ever heard of. People calling themselves avatars. Avatar was a game that the children played, a very popular game, I think back in the 90s. And it was a movie that was going to come out with the same name. And Cameron stole the name, and they had to call their movie Airbender.
A topic no one likes talking about anymore, but did the pandemic affect your business at all?
Not at all. I prospered during the pandemic, because you got to realize I'm a prodigy. So I know stuff that a lot of common people would not know. I know math that a lot of common people will know.
So what are a couple things? What are a couple things that you did to
prodigy? Wait a minute, prodigies. They are dealing in quantum physics. That's Matrix. We're dealing in ancient sacred geometry, the straight lines. We're dealing in calculus, calculating time and so forth. My business is about knowledge. My business is about making licensing deals. You know what I'm saying? Movies, books, videos, and all kinds of stuff for entertainment. And what was going on during the pandemic for 2 years, when you had to stay at home? What was going on? What was some of the things that were progressing when you had to stay home for 2 years? People were reading and watching television and doing everything that was progressive in the home.
So how'd that help you?
It helped me a lot, because my business is movies, videos, books, entertainment.
So you saw a large uptick in your business due to the pandemic?
Of course, because they were at home. If you're at home, what are you doing? You're reading. If you're at home, what are you doing? You're watching television. If you're at home, what are you doing? You're watching movies. If you're at home, you're playing cards or games. You're playing video games. Come on, that's my business.
So what are you going to do to maintain that revenue?
I don't have to do anything. It's called marketing and advertisement. And
Right. So what type of marketing?
Wait a minute, hold up. You're jumping the gun. You're not even giving me a chance to give you the answers. Of course, people are listening to me, so it has to be entertaining. I don't want to jump into it right away, but let me hip you to something. TikTok is owned by the Chinese. Do you understand what that means? Do you know that if you get on TikTok right now with your business and you are viewed by millions of people, there are no restrictions to how much money you can make. But if you go on all of these social networks, whether it's Google, Facebook, Twitter's, Instagram, LinkedIn, okay, all of them, quote unquote, are owned by certain people, and probably a lot of the 13 families, sweetie, that run the hierarchy of this world. When we're talking about bankers, because money is what makes the world go round, money. So if you put your business on TikTok, there's no one to stop you from making astronomical money. But if you go on all these social networks, you're going to be controlled in your income, in your influence and influx. Let me introduce to you, and you already know Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola had a formula and they were making money for many, many years. And when they changed that formula, that's when all things went to hell. And when they changed their image and the whole hierarchy, that is when they began to lose money. So your company has a formula for 28 years. And when you deviate from that formula, because everything, quote unquote, has a formula, and the fans and the people buy that formula. I have 2 to 3 billion fans that are linked to the Matrix and Terminator, just like Nike, $1 billion company, just like Apple, just like Samsung, or the House of Gucci. As long as you continue to give them a new Nike or new products or new subsidiaries and new ideas, you're going to always satisfy those fans. And this is why it's called a brand. And everybody in the world wants a brand, because a brand has the people already attached. And I'll give you an example, Apple, sweetie. They're just waiting for the new Apple to come out. They already love the way it works. They love what they're getting. If you deviate from that, Apple is going to lose money, sweetie.
So
all you got to do is take your brand and keep elevating it into the future and keep getting more and more creative, but keeping the same formula. You're going to always make money. And all you got to do is put it before the different people that want your product. And you got to keep that product excellent, state of the art, A+. You got to give people what they want, and it better be good.
For sure. I would suspect that we wouldn't still be around after 28 years if we weren't successful. But back to you.
No, I'm not.
So what are you doing? So what do you see? What changes? I haven't. Sophia.
That's everything to do with your formula and how you utilize that formula.
It has everything to do with how we utilize that. It has everything to do with that.
How you collateralize that formula or your products.
Exactly. So back to you. This isn't my interview. This is your interview. So what do you see?
I'm talking to the people, because that's who is going to see this. Hopefully when I'm speaking, because I speak to the contents of the people who are watching me, and not to anyone personally who's interviewing me. I don't speak to the interviewers. I speak to the masses.
Yes, but this is about you and your business, not Action Coach. This has
Well,
nothing to do with Action Coach.
It's about anyone who has a business. So I'm speaking, and I'm using quote unquote my attorney hat. I'm using my business astutement, and I'm using being a prodigy.
Okay, perfect. So as a prodigy,
all
perfect.
of those hats to teach people that I can monetize anyone, and I can take anyone and make them successful. And I have many students who are very, very successful, because it's a piece of cake for me, because I keep telling you I'm a prodigy.
I
So
know.
I don't work the norm of normal, regular, everyday people. That's mundane. I don't work in mundane. I work a lot higher.
Okay, so
Consciously.
back to the same question I've asked several times. What are you going to do coming out of the pandemic to maintain the success that you've had during the pandemic?
I told you, all I need to be is put my product before the $2 billion fans, and I sell astronomical. And
Okay,
they
what is your best seller?
Matrix and Terminator is my
Okay.
best seller. Anything that I create of Matrix and Terminator sales.
Okay, so like you get royalties, all that stuff.
Excuse me?
You get royalties and all that stuff when the movies play.
Oh, everybody gets royalties. That's the House of Gucci. That's Nike. That's Sam's. Every brand in the world gets royalties.
I know, but I've read a lot of. I know.
That's why it becomes a public owned selling companies where they get their dividends. That's why Nike, $1 billion company, if those people didn't get their dividends, they'd be on the news crying. And of course,
Nike doesn't offer a dividend, but that's a whole other conversation. So
no, it is royalties. Dividends are royalties.
I'm just saying they don't pay a dividend.
Now listen, you can call it by any names you want. It is the same game. People are in it to make money. And if they don't make money, they get out of it.
Exactly. It has been said that smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. What mistakes did you make along the way, and how can you help future entrepreneurs?
I don't see any mistakes I made. I worked out a formula for myself, and I followed that formula. We were taught in school, and every school teach differently. But me growing up in New York City, it's a whole nother ball game. When I was in school, our teachers told us to write down our goals and to follow those goals. Once we've written them down, it's a program that you follow and what you're going to do with your life as you progress.
That's interesting. Did you do vision boards?
I didn't have to use any vision boards. We just were taught to write down. In the 80s, we were taught to write down our dreams and our goals and to follow those dreams and goals to conclusion.
For sure. And that's why I'm asking, because one of our core principles at Action Coach is to goal setting. And a lot of the goal setting that we do, we use vision boards, because some people are visual learners, some people are audible learners, and some people are kinesthetic learners. So depending how they learn depends on the best way to get your goals on paper or a vision board or whatnot.
Well, yeah, different strokes for different folks. When I'm teaching, I have my own set of formulas, and it's not programs. I don't do programs. That's programming people. Once you leave out of the womb, the matrix of your mother, and you go into school, that's when you start getting your first programs. You already come out of the womb with the knowledge of God and how to regulate in this world and how to create and do everything. But when you get into school, whether you go to kindergarten on up, you're nothing but programs. Other people are telling you how to work in this world. And I don't do programs. It keeps my students away from programming. It's just a program that others want you to follow, but not the billionaires, not the multimillionaires. They get higher consciousness of books. They get first edition books. That's why they're collectors, because whoever has written a book, They're going to have firsthand knowledge of the truth in that book. And the more that book is printed, if it's reprinted 16 times, it's going to get further and further away from what a real author has written, the truth.